Hello, everyone, and welcome to Enhancing Your World with Chris and Larkin. This is Larkin. I have no idea where Chris is. He's usually on before me. So I will just cross my fingers and hopefully he will show up shortly. And today, my friends, we are going to be talking about gratitude. And gratitude is so important. I mean, there just are not words to explain how important gratitude is. And so I want to share some stories with you about gratitude. I want to talk to you guys about gratitude in regards to how important it is for manifesting, how important it is for healing, how important it is for relationships, how important it is for abundance, how important it is for health, joy, well-being, everything that fits under that umbrella of abundance. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that today, and I'm going to share some stories with you about that. I know Chris has a lot of great stories as well. I have been a mindset and manifestation coach for over 14 years now. And one of the key components that I share with my clients and that my clients have benefited from, that have transformed their lives, and that I have found comes back and they come back and they tell me makes the biggest difference, and that they actually revert back to whenever they are feeling in a rut, whenever they're feeling stuck, whenever they are feeling that they are reverting back to old habits. Whenever I ask them, clients who have graduated from my programs or have worked with me for a few years and they've created major transformation, and even those that are in the process of it, one of the things I'm always asking them is, what would you say the number one and top thing is that you did that made a difference, that created and allowed you to create the transformation, that allowed you to not just change habits, but actually transform your life, or that actually allowed you to and helped you to manifest what it is that you want to manifest? And the answer always comes back: gratitude. Even for clients that are trying to work their way out of panic and stress and anxiety or overcome really hard times, clients that are trying to transform out of addiction or harmful habits, all of these things seem to come back to gratitude. So it is my honor, and I know Chris has wanted to talk about this for a while. It is literally one of my very most favorite topics. And so that's what we've decided we're going to talk about today, and hopefully Chris will join us shortly. I've just gone ahead and shared again to some of the groups and things this live. So if you guys find this interesting, and even if you're on the rebroadcast and you want to share it with people, it's actually absolutely it's transformational. This gratitude, guys, is not only key to abundance, but, I want to share with you one of the things that, Eckhart Tolle talks about. And, all my clients are required to read The Power of Now and work with Stillness Speaks. And one of the things that Eckhart Tolle says, which is so powerful, I mean, this pretty much says it all. Like, if you were to do nothing else ever to create transformation, to manifest, to make the shifts that you want to in your life, it would be to follow this advice from Eckhart Tolle. Okay, and that is, if you only had one prayer, this is Eckhart Tolle talking now. He says, if you only have one prayer, make it thank you. And to be grateful for the moment just as it is. Be grateful to the moment, for the moment just as it is. And one of the reasons that this is so powerful is because since, there's many laws in regard to the law of attraction, universal laws, things like that. But one of the most important things is that when we accept the moment as it is, and this is what Eckhart Tolle teaches, but he's not the only great teacher that has taught this, the only person that has transformed their lives that has taught and shared this. When you accept the moment as it is, and you are grateful for the moment as it is, what happens is the resistance dissolves and disappears. The resistance actually transmutes. Okay. And this is so important, guys, because when we want to transform out of struggle and suffering, when we want to manifest something new, when we want to create transformation, right? One of the things that needs to happen is we have to accept the moment as it is. So, if you get the Power of Now, you'll see one of Eckhart Tolle's main teachings, and really my absolute very most favorite quote of his, is to accept the moment as it is. And if you could have one prayer, it would be gratitude. One prayer. It would just be thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So this is really powerful, and I think it's a great way to start off our conversation today about gratitude. And again, hopefully Chris will be joining us shortly. I'm hoping that he will. So that we can have a conversation about this, okay? So, years ago, when I was really struggling, like I absolutely had no idea how to transform my life. I was struggling with absolutely every area of my life. I was having massive, major migraines, and that was just making my life exceedingly difficult. I was totally, I was completely broken, struggling with money. I had a house full of animals. I was absolutely heartbroken. I was just absolutely crushed. I was living alone, and the two relationships I'd had in my life that were really good, strong relationships, were gone. And everything was just dismal. It just seemed like everything was falling apart. I was confused about my career. I was trying to work my way through graduate school, and it was just nuts. And I was doing all these odd jobs. This was the time that I was working like 10 jobs at a time, right? And it was, what was so funny about it was that there was a church down the street. And guys, I'm not a religious person, but I love going into a church by myself. Nice, quiet, still church. And I decided, I just had this craving, I started going into this Catholic church. I found the time where there was nobody there, and I could just sit in there silently, right? Because I feel that God presence. And I like it when there's nobody there, right? When there's no people, no egos, all that kind of stuff. So I went into this church, and I started going in I believe it was every Wednesday. And I would go in and after work, and I would spend at least an hour. I would spend an hour or two in this church just on my own. Okay. Those Catholic churches are often open at different times of the day or evening to go. And so, there'd be a couple people in there once in a while that would come in and pray. But it was so peaceful. And I remember sitting down, I knelt down. It's a very humbling thing. I love to kneel. I knelt down and I bowed my head, because it's so humbling, guys. When you bow your head and you surrender and you humbly pray, which is something Chris and I are going to talk about in the prayer sphere coming up on the 7th of July. But I did this. I did my prayer, and then I bowed my head and I started saying thank you. started to feel really good. And I started thinking about all these things I was thankful for. And I thought, you know what? I am going to, I'm going to just keep saying thank you, right? I'm just going to keep saying thank you. And I just kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going. And the next thing you know, I cannot explain the euphoria that I experienced. And I was there for about 3 hours. The amount of peace, joy, euphoria that I experienced was beyond words. It was phenomenal. And so that experience actually transformed my life. I stopped saying thank you for very specific things, and it just turned into what I was sharing with you after Toll said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I stopped listing the things. I stopped thinking about the things I was grateful for, and it just transformed into thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the next thing you know, it had been 3 hours, and I had been in this church, kneeling or sitting on the bench with my head down, praying, saying thank you. Sometimes I was kneeling and looking up at the stained glass windows, but it just turned into basically a 3-hour chant of thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I have never felt so euphoric, so at peace, so joyful, so knowing everything is exactly as it should be, other than my enlightening and awakening moments from reading Eckhart Tolle. I had some of those too, but this was life transforming. And I walked out of that church the same soul, but a different human being. Despite my money struggles, despite my relationship struggles, despite my job struggles, despite my migraine struggles, despite my, family struggles, career struggles, everything that I was going through was no longer the greatest force in my life. This gratitude had replaced it. And it did so in just a couple of minutes, which is why I went from praying and then saying thank you after my prayer to it turning into a 3-hour prayer. Okay. So that allowed me to have that personal experience and then share with all of you and share with my clients and pass that power of gratitude on to my clients. And so, I started really teaching that to my clients. It became, a staple, a foundation for my coaching. And lo and behold,